another episode of the C-Suite Edge. I'm your host, John Light, founder and CEO of Sabertooth Recruiting. And today I have with me Ben Haguel. Ben, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Ben, let's get this started off with some context, man. Could you maybe give us a 90-second rundown of you, your background, and what led you to TCB Pay today?
What led me to TCB was to create a technology company eventually, but we started as a traditional ISO, traditional processor, and that would solve problems in the industry for certain types of merchants, especially for large, high-risk merchants, large transactions, large volumes.
Okay, interesting. So, you get into the payment processing, the kind of fintech space. I guess a big question I have is, what is the biggest problem in that space you guys solve, and who do you solve it for?
Well, the largest problem that we solved is either a risk-based problem, which is appetite for processors. Either it's a technological problem or a volume problem. I mean, you can have a very medium risk to low risk merchant, but if they have a very large ticket or large monthly volume, lots of processors would dismiss them as a potential merchant. So that's what we solve on a daily basis.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about, I guess maybe the best way to put it is when you look, and this is one of the things that struck me about TCB Pay, you guys aren't going out and targeting what I've always considered traditional payment services, small, high volume transactions. And instead, you guys tend to take on larger. And I'm curious, what led you down that route to handle larger dollar amounts or euro amounts or whatever it might be?
Well, first of all, I personally believe it's more interesting on an intellectual level. On a career path, it's more rewarding. And as well, we have the ability for this type of transaction, or any type of transaction for that matter, to develop our own technology. And technology helps a lot. In certain cases, it can even help reduce the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So we use technology, we use to reduce risk. If we don't use it to reduce risk, we at least have capacities to help merchant in other areas, volume, tickets, type of merchants. We were one of the very few ones that went for telemedicine. Telemedicine is nowadays widely accepted, but before it wasn't. We were only a few ISOs in the countries. So, having said that, we're part of the book that was written on how to accept a telemedicine website.
No kidding. Wow. And so you kind of got out in front of the wave, right, with telemed, before it became a thing. So what was the key that you focused on that had you identify telemedicine as a ripe field or a great place to go into versus other options you may have had?
I'm not going to say that I identified it. I'm not that smart. But what agent came to us. An agent came to us and said, look, this is low risk. I mean, if I had a penny for every time I heard from an agent it's low risk, I would have a 24-hour standby jet. And but the reality is it was low risk. And one day, my former head of risk asked me, why is it low risk? Why do you believe so? I say, remind me again what they do for a living, these merchants? They're doctors. Okay, enough said. They're doctors. I mean, after you have others high risk, we do MSBs. MSBs are the highest risk in payments. But again, if you deal with the 1 or 2% that are the largest in this space, you're gonna get companies that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars, you're going to deal with a completely different type of merchants. It's going to be a completely different experience. So having said that, you are dealing with people that are real professionals and not a little mom pop and shop, that is trying to convince you that they're low risk when they're not. So we're dealing with people that are extremely well organized, that have payment departments, chargeback departments, that have integration into us, into others. I mean, it's actually fun to deal with them.
Well, part of that fun, isn't it, is that you help them. I don't know how you put this, but in a way, you customize your solution by industry or for specific clients, right? Or at least provide some level of adaptation, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Is that right? Or I mean, how do you go about that in a world that's so stinking complicated and everybody wants a one-size-fit-all solution?
Well, size one fit all doesn't exist, first of all. So exactly. So how do you do it? Simple. You communicate. Communicate. You have a reactive. I'd like to say, first of all, that I have one of the most amazing team there is. And we have a very organized and very structured corporate work that we do behind, and then we pass it down to the company employees. So because we have that structure and it's very strong, we're capable. So if we have a merchant that is fairly large, can I give you an example? We have a $300 million merchant. Are they going to talk to someone that going to lead them towards integration, or they should talk to our CTO? So most CTOs wouldn't mind to tell you, I'm the CTO, I don't want to talk to a merchant. My CTO, he doesn't care. He'll talk to the merchant. If he brings money to TCB Pay, he'll talk to the merchant. He'll tell them, what can I do? His exact word, what can I do for you to be happy? What can I do for you to give us more volume? Sometimes it's, can you give me that type of report? Yes, but it's going to take time. So right now, I'm going to tell you, we don't have a QuickBooks integration. You know what he says to new merchants? I can deliver to you every day a report that you just have to upload in your QuickBooks until I do the QuickBooks integration, and you can automatize it. So they say, what do you mean? Well, there's two ways. Either you send it to me, either I send you a report, and that daily report by email, we include a file that you can upload. Oh, wow, sure. Then if we have a technology issue like a 3DS, we have a merchant for which we did the 3DS failures on a daily basis. It's the only merchant, so we have created a special reporting just for them. So, and sometimes it's features. An agent for a merchant just asks us to create cascading payments. We never thought about it. Okay, we already have a load balancer. How hard is it to do cascading payments? Not really hard, so we did it in 2 weeks. So you need to have the will and to take also seriously the merchant.
Well, I mean, kind of what you're describing, and I've had guests on before that have talked about the idea of revenue operations, right? Where the whole company from front to back has a top line revenue focus. So a CTO getting engaged, not just to serve the customer from a customer service perspective and a responsiveness perspective, but also because they recognize, hey, here's an opportunity to help drive more dollars to the top line of the P&L of the company. I think that's pretty good. To see it, it's something that sounds spontaneous in an organization is really interesting, because not everybody, to your point, not every CTO out there is willing to get on a call with a merchant or whoever the customer may be. And not just CTOs, but what about CFOs? What about, and go down the line, because everybody's got their area of operation, right? But everyone's area of operation is the success of the company. And for you to be successful at the company, you got to help your customer be successful too.
First of all, I've always said, when we have a new merchant, large merchant, Our CTO looks every day for transactions. He doesn't have a brain, he has a database. And, he's the database of the company. And he's been my friend for 18 years. I absolutely love him, but if we're driven only by salaries that those large employee gets, then we have a problem. We need to have a certain success, not only to justify the money we make, but also to justify our positions. It's not only about salaries. No, it has to be also about what have you done, what have you established, what have you accomplished. And we've put those results ahead very early. Now, our CTO is absolutely an amazing person. And him to do this, I absolutely love it. And you have merchants. It's already hard to get their approval in general to them to say, yes, I will send you transaction. But if you refuse to do certain type of work for them, you're narrowing down the chances of them passing a transaction. You're just saying, I don't want your business.
Yeah. Well, it strikes me because of this mindset, and I'm assuming it's not just into the CTO, Ben. I'm assuming you carry it forward and other members of the team carry it forward. I would imagine that you guys are able to put at least semi-tailored solutions on the table for your customers, but it sounds a lot like you guys have found a right balance between listening and coming up with the right solutions without overburdening either party, if that makes sense.
That's the point. And I'm going to give you an example. We had a customer, a merchant that asked us to create some access, some APIs. Mm-hmm. And we said, okay. He asked for 21 APIs, knowing that we must have 40 already, And my CTO called me within the hour of the call. He said, how much love do you want me to give him? I say, he's a good guy. Just give him all your love. He said, okay, done. 10 days later, 21 extra APIs were there. And that was easy. So it's what we do. It's what we like. Yeah. We have a great team, all team included, So we're truly blessed.
Well, you guys have expectations, right? And you just live up to them. And expectations, flexibility, listening, and delivering on what the customer looks for. And let me tell you, there's a lesson in there. There are a lot of lessons in there, I think, for many companies, probably a lot of your competitors, who take that model that, 95% of what we do is going to come with this one way of doing things. And we're going to do a minimum amount of customizations, minimum amount of tailoring. But when you do that, you leave out, I think, the incentive to listen, right? Because you're willing to do this additional work, you're more incentivized and driven to listen and actually understand what your customer's view of good should look like.
Look, sales is going to be on me. Benjamin, please make it happen. Please make it happen. If we can do it, it's going to bring revenues. Now, have we done it sometime and it didn't bring the revenue because the agent or the merchant especially went somewhere else? Yeah, sure, it did it. But, you cannot, not everything is profit driven, but everything needs drive eventually to a profit.
Yes.
Meaning that I cannot base my decision on profits only, but at the end, everything we do, generally speaking, needs to lead to a certain profitability.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every good company needs to understand their unit economics and how to make that work and stack it and make it advantageous to the company. But talking about listening, solutioning, and all these things, Ben, if someone wanted to get in touch with you and explore more of what TCB Pay does, or just chat with you and share insights, what's the best way for someone to find and get in touch?
I mean, there's always the usuals, LinkedIn, emails. After my cell phone is usually well known. Then text is usually the fastest. I think that a lot of people could witness that my texting abilities are quick. So I mean, it's very versatile. To reach any good CEO today, it's easy to do it. There's multiple channels. The most important is to always remember that the customer is the reason why we have a business, and that business we may decide that we don't make enough or we could have done better, but still that customer is there. So large customer have my contact if they wish. And when you pass $500 million at a processor, I don't care who you are. If I was passing $500 million, I want to know who's the CEO.
I don't think that's unreasonable. And look, I know simple and straightforward TCB, let's just say Tango Charlie Bravo, pay.com, tcbpay.com is pretty straightforward to get in touch. And so, Ben, I just want to say thanks for joining us today and sharing so much.
Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to our next time together.